Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the EZPZ Show brought to you by Sportasonic. You can listen to every episode of the EZPZ Show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or anywhere else you usually listen to your podcast on. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Now let's get into the episode. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the EZPZ Show. I'm Zach here with my co-host Peyton,
Hey, how
and
are y'all?
let's talk about this weekend. Let's talk about some sports that happened over this weekend. We had a lot of stuff. Football, more football. Did baseball happen this weekend? I want to be all inclusive here, but I don't know if it
Yeah,
happened
the,
or not.
the playoffs are going on.
Okay,
Actually, two
cool.
game sevens now. Game seven between the Rangers and the Astros being played at this very moment, and tomorrow will be, I say tomorrow. I guess when the listeners are listening to the game with the Astros and the Rangers will be over, and the game with the Diamondbacks and Phillies will be tomorrow.
Hmm. Genius thinking by the MLB to put a game seven on Monday Night Football day. But
Yeah, no.
anyways, okay, I'm not here to judge. Speaking of football, you want to talk some college football first? I know we had some undefeateds go down this past weekend.
Yeah, let me
Some
pull up the schedule here just to make sure I'm
yeah,
not missing anything.
yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna do the same. I can't lie. Um, let's see. Let's go back to week 8, please.
Can we go back to week
Wait.
8? I mean,
I can.
wouldn't
You
let me for a
struggling?
second. Yeah, it would let me
Oh,
for a second.
dude. Okay, this thing sucks. Oh, I'm on the wrong thing. I need to go back to scores. I was on schedule and it wasn't showing me anything. Well, I see why. Guess because I was on the wrong thing. Hmm. If you want, we can discuss the Penn State Ohio State game.
Yeah. So Penn State, Ohio State, kind of as we thought, an absolute defensive slugfest. Both offenses looked both defenses looked great. I think Penn State finished with like one conversion on third down. That ain't gonna get it done.
Hmm.
Um, James Franklin. I mean, I wouldn't say he's an overrated coach because this is what you've grown to expect from him, and so I feel like he's properly rated. Like when they're favored, he wins. When he's the underdog, they lose. But at some point, you want, I mean, you would want the Penn State in a top 10 matchup to at least be competitive. And
Mhm.
to me, it really wasn't competitive. Um, I mean, of course, it was 20-12 final score, but Penn State had they didn't have a pulse on offense. So, um, yeah, props to the Ohio State defense. Props to Kyle McCord for doing what he needed to do. Obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr. balled out with 162 yards, but um, yeah, man, Penn State, great defense, great defense, but I mean they're trash offensively.
Yeah, well said. We move on to. I'm sure you get the schedule slash scores up by now.
Oh yeah. So next one for me is the Duke at Florida State game. Um, yeah, I mean Duke was in it. Riley Leonard, kind of out of nowhere, he was doubtful. It came out earlier in the day that he was doubtful to play in the game, and then of course who's taking the first steps? Riley Leonard snaps. Riley Leonard. So, I mean Duke, that was a pretty clever game plan, I guess. Make Florida State guess on him, but of course he was not himself. He couldn't really do. He was very limited at running and passing the ball. Obviously, he only threw it 16 times. He didn't even eclipse 70 yards, and he had a pick. So, a really tough day for Riley Leonard. And then he also got hurt. And once he got hurt, the tides absolutely changed in the favor of Florida State. Um, as in the fourth quarter, they outscored Duke 21-0. So you could see that game was. I mean, it was definitely a game that at the end of the half it was 20-17 Duke, and Duke really jumped out to a 17-7 lead, and it looked like Florida State was in some real trouble. But Deuce Spahn got a big kickoff return for a touchdown, and yeah, it kind of righted the ship for Florida State. Jordan Travis looked used his legs like we thought he would this year. Obviously, he had 10 carries, 62 yards, and a touchdown. That doesn't include. I mean, that does include sacks, of course. So the running numbers for quarterbacks are always a little bit flawed, but He also went 27 to 36 for 268 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Finally, like I said, he he puts together a performance like we thought Jordan Travis would, and Florida State not dominantly, but I mean 21-0 in the second half, and really just in the fourth quarter, but they didn't give up a point in the second half. That's really impressive from Florida State, especially against a Duke Blue Devils team who was really tough. I mean, they have 2 losses, now 3 losses, but wait, no. Now, no, I'm sorry. They had 1 loss. Now they have 2 losses. Their only other loss coming to Notre Dame by a touchdown in the final 30 seconds. Hard to uh, hard to argue with that kind of game. You win 38-20, cover the spread, which Zach and I did not think that was going to happen. But it was kind of how I expected to go. Close game, and then Florida State pulls away towards the end.
Yep. Yeah, shame on Florida State. They kind of got some what do you call it, points, garbage time points, I feel like, at the end. But I don't know. Yeah, Florida State looked good, for what it's worth. I know, yeah, the first quarter and a half, was a little sketchy. But looking ahead of Florida State's schedule, I really, there's a solid chance they go undefeated here,
Oh
and I mean
yeah,
easily make into the playoffs. I mean, what really, you hate to look too far ahead, especially in college football. But I mean, for what it's worth, their next toughest opponent, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know how the conference championship game works with the ACC. I imagine they just play Clemson again, or
no, Clemson actually I believe has 3 losses now.
oh, that's right, yeah, Clemson's booty, yeah, that's right. I don't know
Yeah,
who then
so
who they play in
let me
the
look.
ACC. Then who's the next best team?
I thought
Duke.
uh, Louisville. So in the ACC rankings, it's Florida State, Louisville, UNC, Duke, Virginia Tech, Boston College, Georgia Tech. Clemson's below Boston College, Virginia Tech, and Georgia Tech.
Hmm.
And
Things I
Miami's
didn't
below
expect.
Clemson and NC State.
Hmm. All right. Well, so North Carolina then.
I don't. Let me see how I can't recall how the ACC championship worked. I
Oh,
think it's
you're a Florida State
division.
fan, man. Come on, you're supposed to know how your conference works.
I know, but I think they might have changed it up this year.
Yeah, I bet they did.
Let me see.
I'm
I want
gonna
to say
poke Nick's head.
it'll probably be in UNC though.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, I know it ain't like the SEC that's split into two divisions, so
Well,
I
the
just have to
ACC is,
imagine.
yeah,
Oh, it is.
yeah.
Oh, is it?
Coastal and Atlantic. Oh gosh.
Oh wow, they really that the
Yeah,
SEC needs to change their conferences to the South and the East.
I know. It looks like they
That's
might have
pretty funny.
abolished that. They might have abolished that.
Okay, that's pretty funny.
Yeah. Yep. ACC will eliminate football divisions beginning in 2023. Okay, so um, as of now, they'd be playing Louisville in the championship game.
No fun.
Yep. And that's, I mean, obviously, you circle 2 games left on Florida State's schedule, being Miami and Florida. 2 rivalry games. You never know how those games will go, but I do think they're better than both of those teams.
Snooze fests.
Hmm.
Anyways, move on to another game with some solid opponents facing each other. Bama and Tennessee.
Yeah, obviously Tennessee dominated the first half of this game, and it was a tale of 2 halves. Bama absolutely dominated the second half. Um, Alabama's defense really kind of woke up in the second half, shut Tennessee out in the second half. It was 27 going into half, so they finished on a 27-0 run. Very impressive by the Alabama offense, because Tennessee's defense is no slouch this year. So props to them. Um, it's hard to see where the game went wrong for Tennessee, being that everything was kind of clicking on all cylinders in the first half. I don't really know what happened. I mean, great adjustments by Alabama, but it's really shocking to see that there were no adjustments made by Tennessee.
Yeah, yeah, kind of shocking. Like you said, a tale of two halves, and like really bad two halves too. Well, I mean, I'll say the first half. for as bad as the second half was for Tennessee, let me restart that again. For as bad as the first half was for Alabama, it wasn't nowhere near as bad as the second half for Tennessee. I believe I said that right.
Yes,
um, yeah, I don't know if Saban got off the bus or if Tennessee got on the bus at halftime.
a
But
little bit of both.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I don't know what wrong for Tennessee there. Like you said, it's kind of weird how a team that was clicking that well just I mean
It just
straight
fell
up
apart.
imploded. Yep, it is kind of weird. I think for what it's worth, Tennessee's still a good team. But I also think at the end of the day, Alabama was a better team to begin with. So I don't know. I guess the end result isn't too surprising, but the way it got to that end result kind of was for both teams. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. And then for Bama, of course, you look ahead now. 2 weeks from now, you got the showdown with LSU. Really, I know Ole Miss is kind of in the driver's seat for the West right now, but being that they have to go and play at Georgia, that would probably be their second SEC loss. Let me rephrase that. Uh, assuming, not assuming, I don't want to assume that at all, but if LSU was to beat Bama in 2 weeks, Ole Miss would take over the reins for the division lead. As of now, of course, they still have to play Georgia. Um, so that the West is pretty much wide open right now.
Hmm.
LSU has to beat Bama to win it. They have to beat A&M as well. So we'll see how that goes. But
Yeah,
obviously, a
SEC
huge
West is gonna be
matchup.
very interesting. Yeah, absolutely. These next couple weeks are gonna be fun for the SEC. SEC West more specifically.
Yep. Moving on to Utah at USC. Probably my favorite game of the week. Utah got up to a big lead. USC kind of came back a little bit. I mean, they were up, I think, 14, and USC comes back with a pick six they got from their defense, and a huge punt return by Zachariah Branch sets up USC with a really like a 7-yard field. So, USC able to erase a 14-point lead, take the lead by one, only for Utah to just come right back and score. Really gritty last drive by Utah as well. Barnes had a huge 26-yard run, but that's not the story of this game. The story of this game is now that Caleb Williams is now 0-3 versus Utah in his career. Um, there's still the thought that hey, he doesn't play well against elite defenses. Didn't even throw for a touchdown. Threw 34 times for 256 yards. Completed 24 passes. So not overwhelming stats by any means. Honestly, was probably outplayed. Really, yes, was outplayed by Barnes, who was 14 of 23 for 235 yards. So 11 less attempts, about 21 less yards. He had 3 touchdowns and a pick. Obviously, that pick was a big one, being a pick six. But um, man, I see people trying to blame this game on the USC defense because they're saying, "Oh, well, all they needed was one stop." Well, I hate to tell you this, but Caleb Williams did not play well in this game.
Yeah, no, not even close. Not at least not the Caleb Williams that all of these analysts are saying. He's going to be. Which me and you have seen the post several times now, where it's like he's a mix between Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers or something crazy like that.
Yeah,
That's paraphrasing, obviously, but they might as well say that. I mean, yeah, he didn't. I don't know, and this is the dude who's supposed to be like the unequivocal first overall pick. But I mean, man, if it's a big game by any means, I don't know. He doesn't show up. He doesn't show up. He's serviceable, sure, but he's no Heisman, I guess. I don't know how else to put it in college terms.
yeah, no,
He ain't
he's
special in
definitely
big
not a
games.
Heisman. No, and I've been saying this. I hate to say this, but I've been on this bandwagon. Caleb Williams ain't that guy.
But he's that guy as long as he don't play anyone worth anything.
Yeah, he's that guy as long as he's playing Colorado's defense.
Yep, fair enough. Put Travis Hunter on the other side. Caleb Williams is going to have 600 yards by half.
Well, I don't know if you watched that game, but in the second half, that dude folded too against Colorado. So
That's fair.
But I think that was. Am I missing any games? No, I think that was pretty much it. If you want to cover the Clemson Miami game, it went to overtime. Miami ended up beating Clemson. Two bad teams right there, but I'm not that worried about that game.
Battle of mid.
Yep.
Well, if that's all you wanted to cover, we can really quickly move over NFL, cover some of that, maybe cover UFC, and then move on to our belated NBA coverage.
Yeah. Oh well, one thing I did want to add. It'll be quick too.
Mhm.
Heisman rankings now for after week 8. Jaden Daniels number 1. Michael Penix not number 2. I'll say JJ
Put him at number
McCarthy number
6.
2. I'll say JJ McCarthy number 2. Michael Penix number 3. Marvin Harrison Jr. number 4. And oh man. I'm
We
looking.
want
Dylan Gabriel
Rising.
number 5.
I got Cam Rising number 1.
Oh yeah, and by the way, y'all won't have to hear me blab about Cam Rising again this year since he's officially been shut down for the season.
He had a good run this season. 6 benches warmed. 10 water bottles handed out per game. 14 let's go guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, well, yeah, if you're through with college, I can real quickly go over some NFL. I'll try and keep it short and sweet. And by the way, at half, the score of the game going on tonight, Monday Night Football, is 16-7. Vikings are leading.
Yep, and now the Rangers are just opening it up against the Astros. It's now 8-2 in the top of the 4th inning. I don't know if they have one
Down
out
with
yet.
the Astros. Down with the Astros.
They still only have one out in the top of the 4th here.
It's only going to get worse.
Oh yeah, I know. I called this. I mean, as soon as I saw Christian Javier pitching tonight, I was worried, and my concerns were absolutely valid as he gave up three runs with only recording 1 out. So, yep, congratulations to the Rangers for making the World Series.
Yep, deserved. That was my pick preseason. Anyways, yeah, we'll quickly go over some of the games. Some of the games worth mentioning, at least. Browns and Colts. That game went down to the wire. Browns are able to storm in late, able to get a touchdown, and shut down the Colts. I believe the Colts had a turnover on their final drive, which gave up any hopes of them doing anything. But for what it's worth, Gardner Minshew had a solid game along with Josh Downs. Downs had like 5 catches for 100-something yards. Only reason I know that is because he was on my fantasy team. He was an awesome waiver wire pickup for me. Now he's going to be my I'm going to start my quarterback next week just to change things up. But yeah, that was a very high scoring game. One I didn't really expect to be like that, especially I don't know because the Browns defense was supposed to be all that in a bag of chips. But here we are. Anyways, Ravens and Lions. Ravens come away with a pretty dominant win over the Lions. Lamar Jackson, Black Peyton Manning. Keep him in the pocket. He can't do anything. Yeah, right. Throws for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns, along with, I believe, a rushing touchdown. Looked pretty solid out there. Lions were dismantled. They had a garbage time touchdown by Jahmyr Gibbs, who actually did look really good. So I know a lot of people were, afraid of the Jahmyr Gibbs kind of not doing his thing, but I think he had his coming out party this past Sunday, so good for him. I still think David Montgomery is going to get the lion's share, no pun intended, of touches in that offense. But yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs looked good. Lions as a whole, not too good, but you played a good Ravens team, so can't really fault you for that. Upset of the week: Patriots and Bills. Patriots beat the Bills 29-25. Mac Jones played better than Josh Allen. Words never thought I'd say this season. Bills are 4-3. They're looking like one of those like a sketchy team who like should be their record should be better than what they're playing. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Anyway, yep, they let a D3 team beat them. So Bills got to you know, question themselves here and figure it out quickly before the ship starts sinking. Let's see, any other interesting games? Dolphins and Eagles. Eagles come away victorious on Sunday Night Football, 31-17. I mean, Dolphins offense looked okay. Not really. Very questionable play calls. It's probably the first time I've actually watched the Dolphins play, and I'd hate to be part of that offense. I don't know. It was just very sketchy. I mean, about eight, I don't know, 10 times out of nine, routes would end up in the same position. But, if you're a defense, you feast on that because that means you at least probably got three, at least two, more than likely three guys covering two receivers if they end up in the same spot. Anyways, I don't know. Maybe that's something they'll figure out. I guess they didn't utilize all the speed on that offense. Once again, Dolphins play a good team, don't look too good. Shocker. And once again, one concussion away from being 5-12. But we'll see. Eagles look good as always. Not much to be said there. They're steamrolling their opponents for the most part. Um, so yeah, that would cover it for NFL. Like I said, there's a game going on tonight. But 49ers or Vikings. I said Vikings are up by 9.5. Niners looking a little off. I guess Brock Purdy's missing one of his all-stars and Debo Samuel, and now he don't know what to do. Shame on him. He's only got three more all-stars to target. All-pro people, I should say. I keep calling them all-stars. I got NBA on my mind. Anyways, so yeah, that should be interesting. I have to imagine the 49ers make it a little bit more close than what it is right now. But at least Christian McCaffrey got his touchdown like he has the past 20 weeks. So good for you, Christian. Brock Purdy needs to figure it out, though. I don't know. That 49ers offense, you could plug me in there at quarterback or Peyton, and I'm pretty sure we do. Probably the same as Brock Purdy. Nothing against Brock Purdy, but I don't know. Just it's hard. That's an offense that's very hard not to excel in. But anyways, we got some good games going up next week, too, in the NFL, and we'll cover those on Friday. And if you want to, Peyton, we can move into maybe cover just a couple of the UFC fights or something, um, or the results, I should say, from this past weekend at UFC 294 in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, I have three circled right now, but I'm pulling up the card right now just to make sure. Let's see. Oh God. Oh my God, dude. Why can't I not just go to the UFC, their
I don't
website,
know.
and when I
I
type
don't.
in
Yeah, I
UFC
don't.
in
I
294?
can't tell you the last time I've been to the UFC website. I guess no, I use ESPN Plus for that. I was about to say the last time I've been to the UFC website was to buy a pay per view, but no, I don't even do that. I stay far away from the UFC website.
Well, I
It's
got it
terrible.
now, but I mean, for a while there, it wouldn't.
It's
I don't know.
awful.
Yeah. Um, do you want to run through all of them quickly or just a few?
No, no. I mean, just a couple. Like I don't know if you whatever ones you have circled, and then I'll if you didn't mention them, I'll pick them up or something. I don't know.
Yeah, so my first fight that I had circled of the night was Anshul Jubilee versus Mike Breeden. If you watch the fight, you know why I have this one circled. Mike Breeden was getting his butt whooped for about 2 rounds, 2 complete rounds, and then in the third, he came out and literally started barking at Jubilee. The most unbelievable thing I think I've ever seen in a UFC fight, barking at his opponent, chanting USA at him, and Jubilee just froze. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know how to handle this guy who was barking at him, and yeah, he got knocked out. So, I mean, great fight by Mike Breeden. Loved it. Um, um, Kamaru Usman versus Hamzat Chimaev. Really, the first round was it was egregiously bad by Kamaru Usman, but after that he really came into his own. He fought well. Obviously lost in the card still, but I think the rounds 2 and 3 were razor thin margins, and obviously round 1 put Chimaev ahead. But And I would have liked to see Kamaru take this fight on, with an actual camp. I think he would have been better equipped to fight Chimaev, and who knows, he might have even won that one. So kind of disappointed that we didn't. I'm not a big Kamaru Usman fan, but I do respect his greatness. I'm kind of disappointed that we didn't get a full camp from him to fight somebody like Chimaev. But hey, it is what it is. Props to Kamaru Usman for even taking that fight against a guy who as scary as Chimaev, but obviously Chimaev comes out on top. And then same kind of goes for the main event. Alexander Volkanovski, our guy. Um, Props to him for taking the fight on short notice, but it's exactly part of the reason why you don't take a fight on short notice against a guy like Islam Makhachev. Head kick KO in the first round. Down goes Volk. I think I audibly said, "Oh no," just like that when it happened. I was stunned, disappointed, but hey, it is what it is. Props to Volk for even stepping in there against a guy like Islam. Um, I don't agree with the decision to do so, and I think we kind of hit on that in our preview. It probably wasn't the smartest decision, but hey, props to him. Dude's a killer. I mean, he stepped in and made this card more exciting when it kind of fell apart. So really props to Volk, but you gotta give more props to Islam. I mean, dude's a killer.
Oh yeah, yeah. Absolutely, Makachev, and like I said, he's probably my one of my more favorite of guys whose last name ends with a EV. Um, dude's a very humble guy, like compared to like Shemaev, um, which I guess really anyone is more humble than Shemaev when compared to him. Anyways, yeah, Makachev, like you said, straight up killer. I mean, he got to work. Um, Man, I'm at. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to say for the lightweight division. Good luck, I guess. Volkanovski. I think after the fight, he said, his time was done there. He's going to move back down to featherweight. Do his thing there. I don't blame him. I mean, that's where he reigns. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure if this really affected Volkanovski's like legacy, like all that much. I mean, I still think he'll be a Hall of Fame fighter. Um, but yeah, it's unfortunate to see him go down like that. And thankfully, it wasn't like the most vicious knockout ever. Like it wasn't like shaved years off his life kind of knockout. It was just like it kind of sucked because it's oh man, like this guy's actually human after all, But yeah, like you hinted on, short notice, short training camp. Dude got up off the couch to take this fight. Props to him for doing that. But yeah, it didn't turn out in his favor, and you know it is what it is. And the Usman fight, yeah, he kind of impressed me. Like I said, I thought he was like really like just done for. Honestly, I thought he was probably going to get finished. But yeah, he didn't. He looked better as the fight went on. I don't know. Like maybe it just gave him like a burst of maybe it just gave him some confidence not being finished in the first round, just being able to survive. Like a 10-8 round, that's not the best way to start a fight. And it's rare that the first round is a 10-8. First of all, but anyway, I guess it's even more rare to make it a competitive fight when you got 10-8 in the 10-8 in the first round. So yeah, I don't know. Personally, I'd like to see Usman stay in this division and just kind of, I don't know, maybe finish out his career here. If he doesn't have to work so hard to be cutting weight. He can. I feel like he can beat some competition in this division. Maybe he has one more shot at the championship. Whoever holds it at the time. I don't know. I think that'd be interesting. Uh,
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say though. Just seeing that performance and thinking about like how dominant he was at welterweight. Obviously he hadn't been taken down until his fight against Rocky. I think it was the second fight against Rocky that he got taken down. Correct.
mm-hmm.
Um, and just within 30 seconds, just gets dumped on the mat, pretty much instantly in this fight. I don't know if this weight class is necessarily for him, but then again, he is fighting one of the scariest dudes and probably the best wrestler in the division. So I guess I
Yeah.
got to think about that too. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm gonna touch on two fights here that really, I mean, they don't need to be touched on, but I'm going to anyways, just because in case people look at the results and wonder what happened. But first one's Javid Basharat and Victor Henry, which was this is kind of a crazy one. By the doctor. The doctor was on one the whole day, the whole
Mm.
night. I'm sorry. And Victor Henry, pretty bad groin strike. It was one by Basharat that it was a kick that got through and it seemed to avoid the cup and kind of like go under the cup, if you will, and use your imagination as to like what could happen. Anyways, Henry Henry didn't take it too well. He was kind of down in pain for a while, and they give fighters 5 minutes to recover. Doctor ran in there, I guess, after watching a replay and told Henry he got kicked in the leg or on the inside of his thigh, and that it wasn't a groin kick. And Henry was like, "Are you serious, man?" Yeah, I don't know. I can't. I don't know. It just shocked me that the doctor went in there and told a man who's in pain in a certain area that he shouldn't be feeling pain in that area because it didn't happen. Um, I don't know.
That's
I
just
mean, I've seen that doc.
unbelievable doctoring there.
Yeah, I know, and I've seen that doctor before. I've never really seen him make questionable decisions like he did that night. But I have to imagine, Dana White usually doesn't play around with that. I have to imagine that doctor's probably not going to be seen for a while.
Well, I
Um,
think he kind of doubled down and defended the doctor. I don't know if I'm sure you didn't see that if you're saying that.
oh no, I didn't see it. Matter of fact, I don't know. I think I saw Dana White just kind of like shrug it off, like, "Oh, it's whatever." Um,
Yeah, he said, "Oh, he's a little inexperienced. You just got to deal with it sometimes." That might just be code for Dana White though, too. So
I don't know. Dana White's usually
that was
pretty
pretty egregious. I mean,
outright.
to tell somebody, "Oh yeah, that didn't hit you," like I mean, it clearly did. This dude's in an incredible amount of pain.
Yep, and we'll quickly move on to the next one where the doctor had something to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Magomed Ankalaev going against Johnny Walker. Um, it was supposed to, I think it was looking like an okay. I can't really remember. It's unfortunate the doctor because of the doctors is the only thing I remember. But I think Johnny Walker, I believe he had like a knee and a hand down or something. I can't really remember what it was. Either way, he took a knee to the side of the head, and he looked okay. He wasn't, he didn't try like selling it like Aljamain Sterling against Peter Yan or anything. I mean, he pretty much just stood right up and was kind of like, "Hey man, what was that?" Ref stopped it. You also have 5 minutes to recover from that if you can recover. Anyway, it's about a minute into the 5 minute recovery time. Keep in mind Johnny Walker, very American name, I know, but no, he's Brazilian. So English isn't his first language, and an English speaking doctor comes in there and gives him a quick test to see how his brain's functioning, see if he has concussion or not. And somewhere the question was along the lines of where are you right now at this moment, or like where are you fighting? Um, Being honest, there's a wide variety of answers you can give to that question. Um, you can say you're fighting in an octagon. You can say you're fighting in a specific arena. You can say what city you're fighting in, what country you're fighting in, or what geographical area you're fighting in. I believe Johnny Walker went with the most broad answer he could think of, um, just to be safe. And fight got stopped. It wasn't a good enough answer, essentially. Like I said, a minute and a half into the recovery time, Doctor barely gave Johnny Walker any time to recover. Asked him a a pretty serious question, in a time like that, and I guess the answer wasn't good enough uh for the doctor. So doctor stopped the fight about 2 minutes into Johnny Walker's 5 minute recovery time. And so, yep, fight ends. Chaos ensues in the ring, octagon, I should say.
I forgot
Everyone's
about
trying to
that.
fight each other. And I don't think either fighter really knew what was going on. Dana White had to come in there because things were getting too intense. Yeah, very bad stoppage by the doctor. Hardly gave Johnny Walker a chance to recover, and then just called the fight. It was one of those people who wants to make the show all about him, and he really did it because, unfortunately, that's all people were talking about. So,
Yeah, I mean, it literally took all the negativity away from Ankalaev for kneeing Johnny Walker straight in the dome piece. I mean, about as egregious as it gets there. and now everybody's talking about the doctor. So I'm knowing Ankalaev is probably like, yes, thank God, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not Peter Yan 2.0, but God, dude, I think the confusion in the octagon also kind of plays to the point of like Johnny Walker had no idea what was going on. Like it's not because he was just stunned. It was just because he literally something got lost in translation. I think. I mean, it's the most reasonable explanation. Dude had no idea what was going on. Like he was trying to fight Ankalaev in the octagon. Ankalaev was trying to fight him, and it was just pure chaos.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it.
Yeah, it was kind of sad to see the fight end like that, but yeah, I have to imagine there's a rematch probably pretty soon in the future, probably before the year's up. Um, because I mean, from what I've seen, I don't think UFC gave Johnny Walker a medical suspension or anything, so I mean, I think he's okay to fight whenever. So I'll be interesting to see if it
You
happen if
do.
UFC can make it happen. But no, that's about it for UFC 294. We can move into some NBA coverage here for a
All
few
right.
minutes and then wrap it up.
Yep.
All right, how you want to do this like by division, or you just want to say trash teams, good teams,
Yeah. So I
conference?
got I got my contenders, my middle of the pack teams, and my trash teams.
All right,
And
yeah.
they're all in list pretty much even. So I'll let you however you want to do it.
Oh, we do conference and then by division or something. Um, like start with the conference and then go division by division, and just kind of like once we talk about a team, just kind of say where we might project them to end up, like whether it's like a seeding in the playoffs, whether they miss the playoffs, whether they make it to like the conference championships, the win the championship. You
Okay.
know,
Yeah. I'll let
it
you
can be broad statements or not.
I'll let you lead it off since you're more of an NBA guy than I am.
All right, that's fine. Well, we'll start with what's probably gonna be the lesser conference out of the two this year, I imagine, and that'll be the Eastern Conference. We'll save the West the best for last. Starting with the Central Division one, that's gonna be decently. I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna be interesting this year or not. I mean, I think there's some interesting teams and some teams that have made some interesting moves. And should I just go in alphabetical order here? No, I'll just okay. We'll start with the Bucks. Obviously, Milwaukee Bucks. We'll start off with this. I saw Giannis signed a contract extension today.
Yep.
That like, well,
186 million over 3 years.
yeah, he's got like a player option for like the 27-28 season or something like that.
Yep.
Which that's a long way away. Well, it's not that long from here actually. Um, Crazy to think about. But anyways, so yeah, congrats to Giannis. I mean, there's no question that was going to be done. But moving on to a little, I guess, coverage of the team. I'll try to be quick because there's 30 teams in the NBA. You don't want me to sit here all night talking about them. But yeah, Damian Lillard trade, very smart move for them, especially when it comes to a playoff setting. I don't expect Giannis and Dame to be out there every single night with each other, and there's probably gonna be no need for them to be out there every night with each other. But you can see that the Bucks team was missing something these past couple of seasons, right? Holiday wasn't really the answer, so unfortunately, give him up as part of a trade to go get Damian Lillard, just a guy you've been needing. Small market team, get some big name superstars, and you have to imagine that they're a frontrunner for the championship now. Um, I think regardless where this team finishes in the standings, the seeding, I should say, for playoffs, I have to imagine that whoever they play, they're going to, excuse me, I've had a bad tickle in my throat from sinuses, but I have to imagine that they're going to give any team a run for their money in the East. So I think this is a team that probably makes it to the conference championship. I don't think they get further than that. But I think, like I said, they are definitely a contender in the Central Division for the Eastern Conference.
Yeah. Obviously, I think. I mean, yeah. You got Giannis. You got Dame. You got Chris Middleton. You got Brooke Lopez. You got even Robin Lopez. You got a squad, man. Even their bench. I mean, it's relatively deep. I mean, it's not. I wouldn't say it's the deepest in the NBA, but when they run them out there, they're still competent. So Um,
Mhm.
yeah, it's gonna be like Zach said. They're gonna give every team a run for their money, and it's really gonna be hard to go out and beat them. Um, I'm not saying they can't be beaten. I mean, obviously they can. I mean, they're not the Monstars, but yeah, they're a really good team. I would think they're my favorites right now to win the NBA championship. Um, but I don't know how confident I am in that either. So take that with a grain of salt.
All right, fair enough. If you're through talking about them, we can move on to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Um, so yeah, the Cavs are an interesting team. They're the in the Eastern Conference. It's kind of hard to say they're championship contenders, but it's hard to say that this team doesn't make the playoffs. Guys like Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and
Don't get me started on Darius Garland.
Jared Allen.
You know exactly what I'm going to say too.
Yes, but this Cavs team was kind of weird because they, like I said, they looked really good. They looked pretty good in the regular season, right? Donovan Mitchell, like I said, fit in perfectly with this team. I mean, he was just he Donovan Mitchell himself can carry this team to some wins. Uh, but I think they didn't have the proper pieces to get playoff wins, and it definitely exposed them. They only got one win in the playoffs last year. So, Cleveland Cavaliers, a team you didn't really hear much about in the offseason, but they added some shooters to the team. They got Max Strus, George Niang. I think that depth that can actually shoot the ball, I think that's going to do wonders for them. I don't know. I don't know where they finish. I think they easily make the playoffs, and I'd like to say they can make it out the first round, but that's a very tough hump for teams to get over. It seems to be like you work your way in steps, right? You're a team that like, oh, you gotta make the playoffs. So once you make the playoffs, so then you gotta win in the first round. Then after that, see if you can make it to the conference finals. So I think the Cavs have made that step into the playoffs. Now they got to try to make that step to get out of the first round. I think they can do it. Like I said, they got some serious depth on that team now. Um, I mean, I think they're a 50-win team. Not easily, but I think they can get 50 wins. So I don't know. Should be an interesting team. I think they make the playoffs as like a 5 or 6 seed. I think they can make it out the first round. But I don't know. This is a team that I'd like to see everyone work together first before I completely judge their depth.
Yeah, and I think we have them in a little bit different spots. I have them kind of middle of the pack. I guess we don't have them in like such different spots. I don't think they. I mean, I don't think they're a true contender by any means, but I also don't think they're bad. They're like you said, they'll definitely make the playoffs. They got some great players on their team. But like you said, that first round it's a hard hump to get over, and did they get swept by the Knicks last year?
No, they won a game.
Okay, so a gentleman sweep.
Hmm.
Still a really that's a really bad series loss to a Knicks team. They're okay. So, yeah, I think they'll do well. Like I said, make the playoffs, but I don't think they get out the first round. I
All
think
right.
they can. They definitely have the capability of doing so, but it's just like you said. It's just a tough for whatever reason. It's a tough mound to get over.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you there. We'll move on to the next team, which will probably be a very interesting team this year. At least I like to think. Indiana Pacers. This was a team that looked pretty good last season, at least the first half. Tyrese Halliburton had a coming out party last season. Went absolutely crazy. Um, just the playmaker the Pacers needed. And then they kind of shut him down towards the end of the year. I think he got hurt, and then like they started losing too many games, and going to the playoffs was just well out of the picture. So they shut him down in order to kind of like start tanking, do their thing. But yeah, I think this is a team that's got some good pieces. In the offseason, they went out and made some good moves. Bruce Brown, Obi Toppin, and they drafted Jarris Walker, who looked really good in the summer league. And I was adding that to Heel, Turner, Nimhard, Naismith, Mothrin. They got a super deep team. In the NBA, I think death matters, especially in the regular season. So I think this is a team that can make the playoffs. I think they're kind of like a sneaky pick. I think they're probably like a play-in team, if I'm being honest. So I mean, I think they probably finish anywhere from the 7 to 10 seed. But I think they can win in the play-in. If they don't just straight up make the playoffs on their own. But yeah, I like the Pacers team this year. So I'm gonna say they make the playoffs. I don't think they do much beyond that though.
Yeah. Again, kind of a similar feel for me. I don't think they're absolute lock for a playoff team. I think they're more of a play-in team, like you mentioned. Um, I- they're a sneaky good team, but then again, they have their nights that they're really not good. Um, which I guess is every NBA team at some point in the season. But um, yeah, I think they ultimately make a play-in game, but I don't think they end up making the playoffs.
All right, fair game. So next team in the what division are we in? Central. Yeah, Central Division, Eastern Conference. Chicago Bulls. Um, I'm not gonna say much about this team because I think they made quite literally like no changes. They may have made like one change, but anyways, yeah, I think this team on paper they look good, man. You know, they got some players, but I mean they don't have like a superstar, you know, and it's hard to win without a superstar in the league. So I don't think
But
Chicago Bulls make the playoffs. Lonzo's
but
out for the season. Zach Levine, DeMar DeRozan, that combo really isn't working out as well as they thought it would. I mean, let's be honest. Last season, in the middle of the season, there was trade talks for both of them. You know, reports of everyone being unhappy, reports of them like absolutely being gone. But here we are; they're both still here. Um, yeah, I don't know. Chicago Bulls I feel like they should be better, but they probably won't be. I don't think they make the playoffs. I think they probably finish definitely in the lower third of the Eastern Conference and easily miss the playoffs.
yeah, I'll have to agree with that. I think Vucevic and Levine are both great players, but I think they're both also aging. It's tough because how many more years does Levine have the style of play that he has in him? And then again, it's not like he's a he can take over some games. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like he's every night able to do something like that. Like
All right.
kind of a lower level superstar. Let me see how I say this. Not in terms of the regular season, not the playoffs. Would be someone like Jimmy Butler, who just so happened to come from the Bulls. I don't think he's as good as Jimmy Butler is either. So um, that's kind of how I feel about him. He's kind of bordering that superstardom area, but he's definitely not there yet. So,
Mhm.
um, and at this point in his career, I don't think he'll ever be there. So, yeah, they'll struggle this year. Like you said, they made no real adjustments to anything on their in terms of the roster. No, yeah, it's hard to see them making the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Last team in the division, the Detroit Pistons. Once again, not much here to be said other than that this team is going to be developing this season. So yeah, I expect them to probably get somewhere like in the low 20s worth of wins. Not much more than that. I mean, maybe they can like push 30. I doubt they do. Monty Williams coming in on his first year. Um, yeah, like I said, this team is going to be focusing on developing its younger players, and you know, maybe next year or maybe the year after that, they kind of they've got a solid chance to make a playoff push. But I think you know this is a year for learning for them for getting a new system under the belt, getting the players who haven't been playing. Cade Cunningham, you know, Sar Thompson just got drafted. Getting them involved, letting them learn the system, letting them get used to each other, build some morale, build some chemistry. But I think, yeah, beyond that, like I said, this season, I don't expect the Pistons to be doing much. So yeah, I think they're in the bottom third of the Eastern Conference. I think they missed the playoffs.
Yep, still super young, just not experienced enough. Talented, yes, but still probably about a year away.
Yep, absolutely. Quickly moving into the Southeast Division of the Eastern Conference. Teams include Heat, Hawks, Magic, Hornets, and Wizards. So we'll start with the Heat here. Uh, did very well last season. Um, but unfortunately for them, they lost a lot of not like super key pieces. But I mean, I don't know. You lose Max Struess, you lose Gabe Vincent, and those are two names. I didn't watch too many Heat games last season, but those are two names I heard quite a lot.
especially in the
Getting
playoffs.
getting minutes, yes, and as I say, like scoring, lighting it up in the playoffs. So those are two pretty big names to lose. Um, but you're supposed to go out and land Damian Lillard. So who cares? Not Damian Lillard, not the Bucks, not the
Mhm.
Trailblazers. Um, so yeah, now you're stuck with a pretty big hole. Now, I mean, you go out and add Josh Richardson. That's your answer to losing Gabe Vincent and Max Struess. Congrats, I guess.
Pelicans legend.
Yeah, I can't be sold to the Miami Heat this season to do what they've done the past few seasons. I'm not going to disrespect. I'm not going to disrespect Spoelstra, but I don't know. I think this is a playoff team. I don't think they do much outside the playoffs. I think they're like in the 4, 5, 6 seed range, maybe. I don't
Mm.
know,
They were an 8 seed last year.
but yeah, but injuries kind of took apart that
That's
team
true.
pretty early in the season, and they got back. They got into their stride when they needed to. And
Yeah.
in Eastern Conference is always super weird because I mean, like the 10 seed in the Western Conference last year would have been the 6 seed in the Eastern Conference or something crazy. It's probably like the 8th seed or 7th seed, but it Eastern Conference isn't too competitive. So I would keep it real and say they still make the playoffs, but they don't do much in the playoffs. Jimmy Butler can only bring them so far.
Yeah, and of course, like you just mentioned, Jimmy Butler is an incredible player, and he has the name Playoff Jimmy for a reason. But there's only so much he can do. Same with Spoelstra, and also Jimmy Butler isn't getting any younger. Great player still. I think he'll put up some numbers this year, but he ain't what he used to be even 5 years ago. So sucks, but sorry, Jimmy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I said, this is a division that's gonna be weird. I think this division, out of all the divisions in the NBA, is can easily be taken over by almost any of the teams in here.
I
Let's
do think
say,
the Heat end up with the best record in this division, for what it's worth.
hmm um, yeah, yeah.
I think I know who
Anyway,
you're kind of debating on, but I think they do.
I don't know. I mean, there's three teams here that could seriously win this division. And but I'll move on. I'll move on to the other two, I guess. Atlanta Hawks. Uh they're kind of such a weird team. I feel like I've covered this team, or like I've known what this team has looked like for 5 years in a row because they haven't changed much since they got Trey Young. They got rid of John Collins. Got off a contract. Um, you know, um, but I don't know. Like I said, the Hawks team has nothing but potential. As far as the offensive side is concerned. Um, Defensive side, they're going to have much to be desired again for the 20th year in a row. So, I don't know. Uh, I don't know. Weird team, another weird team. I think they have a winning record, but like barely, like maybe like 42 wins, like 43 wins. And I think they make the playoffs as they usually do. But I also like they usually do. I don't think they do much in the playoffs. I don't know. This team, it's such a weird team because it's like, oh, they made some changes this year. I mean, we're going on like I don't know what year Trey Young's moving into, year 4, year 5, and it's been the same since he's been there. So I don't know. I really don't know what more they're expecting out of this team other than what's happened the past years. So yeah, playoff team, not much inside the playoffs. But for what it's worth, I think they're a good team. Not a great team. They're not going to contend in the East, but yeah, playoff team Hawks.
Yeah, I don't think they compete with the Heat for the division, but I think they have a decent year. That's all I gotta say about them. Miss the playoffs, play in like they get to the play-in game.
Playing okay. Um. All right, moving on to our next team here, the Orlando Magic. So another weird team here where I think this team can finish in a wide variety of ways. They can either completely miss the playoffs or completely miss, like having to play in the play-in. Like they either make the playoffs as a 6 seed, or they like miss the playoffs by like a 12 seed. Um, you know, this is one of those teams that's just been riddled by injuries. I mean, just about every single player worth anything on that. Every single name that's worth anything on that team has been injured, and like injured badly enough to miss like half the season or like the whole season. But I mean, I don't know. We're going into the season. They got everyone on the roster who they need. They showed some really good flashes last year. I was impressed by them. I was very impressed. Franz Wagner, Markel Fultz. They added Jet Howard this year. Obviously, Paulo Bencaro. Um, Carter Jr. is looking very good too. I don't know. This is I think Jalen Suggs is that name that plays for the Magic. I think so. It just doesn't sound right.
He
Um,
does play for the Magic.
okay, it doesn't sound right because Terrell Suggs was like in at the Ravens this Sunday, and so it was just throwing me off. Anyways, yeah, if I have to have one sneaky pick to make the playoffs, I think it's the Orlando Magic. Um, a sneaky pick to win the division, even Orlando Magic. Like I said, I don't know. The Heat scare me. The Hawks don't impress me as usual. But like I said, I don't know. If I have to go with a value pick here to win the division, it's definitely Orlando Magic. Realistically, I think they're a playing team. Also realistically, I think they sneak into the playoffs as an 8 seed. So yeah, this is a young team. I think they're gonna surprise a lot of people as long as they can stay healthy. I know that's the biggest if, but hey, they stay healthy. I think they're a playoff team.
Yep, I think they surprise a lot of people, like you said. Paolo and is going to be a superstar in this league. Jalen Suggs, I think Jalen Suggs will be a pretty solid player here soon. Um, this year though, mm, yeah, I'll have them making the playoffs. Yeah, they'll win a playing game.
There you go. I like it. Real quickly go
I
over
think
these
they're
last
going to
two.
kind of be the surprise team. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. Real quickly go over these last two teams, and we move on to the rest of the NBA. Charlotte Hornets. You know, another weird team because they got some really talented guys on that team, but it's such a weird makeup. And I think you hear people talk about it all the time. Well, I think I see a lot of people actually say, "Oh, the Hornets are going to be good this year." I just don't. I don't think they are.
Mm.
Like I said, they got the talent, but oh boy, they're weird. Um, the POS Miles Bridges returns. Um, I don't know. You got Lamella Ball, Gordon Hayward. You had to let go of Kai Jones.
Kai Cenat.
Mm, I mean, it might as well be on the team. Uh,
You
I don't
got
know.
you got your favorite player, Brandon
Uh, it's
Miller.
it's such a weird team though because it's like there's no veterans on that team that's going to hold anyone accountable. Obviously, as we've seen in the past 20 years of scandal with this Charlotte Hornets team. But I don't know. Yeah, I'm not impressed by this team. I mean, I think they'll probably end up being like once again like top three worst, bottom three I should say. Yeah, they missed the playoffs.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. I don't think they're a good team. Brandon Miller, the best shooter in the NBA. I guess that's a good pickup for him. LaMelo Ball, does he even play this year? I don't know. I mean, he missed 90% of the games in his career, just like Zion Williamson. So hey,
Hmm.
whatever. Um, but for what it's worth, like you said, they do have some good talent. Like I said, Brandon Miller, best shooter in the NBA. So that's good for them. But they got to build off of that too.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Real quickly talk about the Wizards here. Jordan Poole. That's about it. Worst team in the league, I think. Um, Wizards aren't going to do crap this year. They'll easily miss
You're
the
forgetting the
playoffs.
goat.
I don't know who you're talking about. Kuzma,
Kyle
who
Kuzma plays for the Wizards, dude.
who's like not guaranteed to play half the games this year either. Yeah,
Kyle
I don't know.
Kuzma, man.
I like Tyus Jones. Kuzma's going
Yeah.
to get traded, by the way.
No,
Um,
I was just joking. But
yeah.
fun fact on my my NBA 2K, Kuzma actually scored. 35 the other night.
Oh, nice. There's one or like 2 games every season where he does something like spectacular like that.
Yeah, couldn't believe
Just
it.
like every other player in the NBA, they're always due for like a crazy breakout game.
Yeah, man. At the end of the day, they are professionals.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I don't really like the Wizards too much this season. Yeah, so I don't know. Like I said, I think that I predict them to probably be the worst team in the league.
I don't think worst team in the league. But I do think they're a bottom feeder. I mean, they're not going to be a good team. But
Yeah, yeah,
I
that's
don't know.
fair.
Well, actually, I don't know. Jordan Poole's trash. I don't care what he did 2 years ago. It doesn't move me in the playoffs, um, because he flat out disappeared last year. So it doesn't move me. Yeah, they're not going to be good. No, I'm really evaluating this right now in my head.
For what it's worth, I think you put 3 teams at the bottom of the NBA, and they're all in the Eastern Conference, and we covered them all so far, and that's the Pistons, Hornets, and Wizards. Um, but
Yeah, they
I
might
don't
be the
know.
worst team in the NBA.
All right, I'm glad you see the light now. But anyways, we can move on to a good division in the Eastern Conference. That's the
Whoop,
Atlantic
whoop.
Division. Boston Celtics. Yeah, this team's my favorite to win the championship. I
Mhm.
think they got all the pieces to be a strong championship team. And you think they had some solid pieces last year, but obviously they couldn't quite make it there. So I mean, what did they do? You get rid of Marcus Smart and Grant Williams, and you replace them with Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis. Um, I mean, holy upgrade on both of them. I mean, huge upgrades. We saw what Drew Holiday did for the Bucks. Who's to say he can't do that for the Celtics? Um, I'm a believer in the Celtics team. I think I got them as my pick to win the championship this year. I think Jason Tatum also. I hate to say he's due, but I think he is due for the MVP season. Voter fatigue is getting tired of giving it to the big man. I think Jason's going to do a little bit more than he did last season and enough to impress people to where, have the media picks and chooses who they want to give the award to, right? So I don't know. Like I said, I think this will be the year they just decide that it's Jason Tatum's time. But yeah, like I said, they got Drew Holiday, Jalen Brown, um, and obviously Jason Tatum. Uh, yeah, I don't know. They have the potential to be top 5 in both offense and defense. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Yeah, give me the Celtics to win the whole thing. I think they got this year. They went out and made the right moves, and I think it's going to be enough to give them over the edge.
So they still didn't make the best move they could have made, and that would be getting rid of Jalen Brown, who just disappears, goes missing in the playoffs. I mean, he's put on a milk carton in the playoffs. Um, but for what it's worth, Jalen Brown in the regular season is a fantastic player. One of the best players in the NBA, really. And yeah, I like Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum's a really likable guy. Jalen Brown is not. I think that's. I think I'm kind of biased towards not liking Jalen Brown. And maybe that's not why. Maybe that's why the Celtics aren't necessarily my favorite, because I do let bias get in the way a lot. Um, but yeah, if Jalen Brown learns how to dribble with his left hand, maybe they might have some trouble with, or the East might have some trouble with them. But for what it's worth, I think I do think the Bucks still win it.
All right, that's fair. Yeah, I think the Eastern
Hate
Conference
Jalen
is probably
Brown.
going to come down between them two.
Can't
Between
wait.
the Bucks and the Celtics.
Need an
It
ACL
should be
tear.
it should be good. But yeah, like I said, I don't know. I think it's going to come down between those two. But I think the Celtics are going to have. I don't know. We'll see. Enough about them. Move on to the New York Knicks.
Hmm.
Um, another weird team that I think they're probably going to make the playoffs. Um, I think they'll make it to the second round of the playoffs. I think they got some good pieces. Um, but I think this is also probably going to be a Knicks team that breaks in the middle of the season and just says, "Screw this! Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson can't win us a championship. We need to go out and get someone worth of crap. Um, I don't know. They're one of the teams that you should keep an eye on to make a big trade in the middle of the season. Um, and if they don't, I think they said they're capped off at second round of the playoffs, if even that. But yeah, I mean Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, I like them. Good team, not a great team. So yeah, give me like fifth seed, fourth seed.
Yep, I agree with that. You said it best. Great, a good team, not a great team. Probably break apart middle of the year. Not sold on Randall. Brunson's okay, but I'm still not sold on him being like the focal piece of an offense. Yeah, I think they make the first round. I don't think they get past the first.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, move on to the Brooklyn Nets here. I think they're going to be a
Trash.
very good defensive team. I think they're going to give a lot of teams troubles. Offensively, though, big question marks here. I mean, you got Ben Simmons
Mm-hmm.
um,
Hmm.
on the team. Uh, I don't know. Uh, as my head's hurting, just trying to think of a. Oh, dude, this team has such a wide range of where they can finish. It's legit making my head hurt just trying to think where I think they're gonna finish. I don't know. Uh
Dead last in the
I,
NBA.
I think they
No,
missed the
I'm kidding.
playoffs. God, I'm trying to think of what teams I'm saying in the Eastern Conference because I can't say 12 teams are gonna make the play in. That just doesn't
I
make any
know. I
sense.
was just thinking about that. I was like, man, I've probably done that. Probably said like every team's gonna miss the
Yeah,
play-in.
yeah, I know. I'm probably gonna end up doing that. But no, this team either barely misses the play in or barely makes the play in. Regardless, I don't think they make the playoffs. Weird team, very good defensively, offensively. I have big question marks for them, but yeah, I think they get close, but no cigar this year for the playoffs.
Yeah, obviously you got the LSU greatest of all time and Cam. Cam Thomas. God, I had a brain fart there. Uh, but other than him, offensively, team's trash. Uh, I don't see them doing nothing. They're not going to make the playoffs. I don't even think they make a play in.
Fair enough. Move on to the 76ers. Another weird team with all the drama and James Harden. Um, I think regardless if they have James Harden or not, which is obviously trending that they won't, even though it's kind of weird because I think he came out right and said he wants to play basketball, but it's just like he's making it difficult for himself and the Sixers to let him play basketball. I think this is a team that makes the playoffs as like a 3, 4, 5 seed somewhere in that range, with or without James Harden. You go out and make some good additions, some decent additions, I should say. Um, I don't know. I mean, they got Nick Nurse as a head coach. That's going to be interesting. Uh, I don't know. I'm actually going to say like 4, 5, or 6 seed for this team. They're sketchy to me, but I think they make the playoffs. So yeah, 76ers playoffs. Good for you.
Yeah, I think I was just talking to Zach right before we hopped on about where where were the 76ers going to finish. Obviously, you have Joel Embiid, won MVP last year, one of the greatest players in the NBA, dominant force. But then again, you don't really have much of a supporting cast in terms of like stars. You got Tobias Harris is still there, correct?
Yeah,
Tobias Harris there, but I mean he's really not like a star, but I don't know. It's tough. Like Zach said, you got Nick Nurse, who he's Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. He's a good coach one day, he's a trash coach the next. Um, and then with all the drama going on around James Harden, I see that being a huge distraction. I'm gonna agree with Zach and say 5 to 6 in this seeding.
yeah, definitely a weird team. But even weirder team, which would be the last team in the Eastern Conference, and I don't think they make the playoffs. Toronto Raptors. They have a weird guy in Scotty Barnes who I think they're trying to make the leader for that
Hmm.
team, but a weird choice. I know we're rookie of the year winner, I believe, but I don't know. He's kind of hate to keep calling him weird, but I don't know what else to say. Uh, they wouldn't add Dennis Schroeder. Got rid of Fred Van Fleet. So I don't know if you call that like a lateral move or I really don't know. No, this isn't even a weird team. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. If they sneak into the play-in, it's literally by the 10th seed. But I'm not sold on this Toronto team. I think they got worse over the offseason. And, I think choosing Scotty Barnes to be your unequivocal leader / Pascal Siakam to be your unequivocal leaders. Yeah, not the smartest move. But yeah, I think they missed the playoffs.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you bring this guy up, but Pascal Siakam, man, like I really thought he was going to butt into a superstar, and he just never did. He's got his moments where he's great, but overall, he's just eh for the most. I don't want to say eh, but eh, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for what it's worth, Dennis Schroeder is absolutely not an upgrade from Fred Van Vliet. Matter of fact, he's a lot worse than Fred Van Vliet. Um, Fred Van Vliet would just randomly go on like Linsanity runs throughout the season. Dennis Schroeder's not going to do that. So, yeah, they're just not a good team. Like you said, they're not weird. I mean, Scotty Barnes is weird, but they're just not a good team. They're not going to make the playoffs. I don't even think they come close. They might finish. I don't want to say last in the East because I already said the Wizards, but this is the other team that I was like going back and forth on. Like, ooh, I don't know if they're the
I don't
worst
think they're
team.
that bad. I don't think they're that bad.
They're not good. They're not
No,
good.
no, absolutely not. Like I said, I don't think they're playoff material. I don't think they're even play-in material. I think they missed the playoffs and play in. But do I think they're the worst team in the East? No, not at all. Not even close.
Yeah, if they have one thing, at least they got a little bit of experience.
Yep, I suppose.
I said a little bit. No, still not much.
That's fair. But if you're ready, we can move into the Western Conference. And we talked about the Eastern Conference a good bit there, and then the Western Conference is going to be even worse. I say worse, but even more competitive. So,
Yeah.
um, move right into it. Start with the Southwest Division here of the Western Conference. Grizzlies. Um, Steven Adams out for the season with he's gonna have surgery on his PCL or something. So yeah, he's out for the season. That was announced about a week ago. John Morant suspended for the first 20 something games. Obviously that's a pretty big hit. Um, but yeah, I still think this Memphis Grizzlies team is pretty deadly. They went and got Marcus Smart. Like I said, they got John Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr. Um, and Luke Kennard, who's actually been doing pretty well for them ever since they traded for him middle of last season. Um, I don't know if it was in the middle of last season. Either way, he got traded to the Grizzlies last season, I should say. Um, I think it helps a lot getting rid of Dylan Brooks and replacing him with Marcus Smart. I think at the end of the day, that's probably the best thing that could have happened. Addition by subtraction. That's what they did with Dylan Brooks. Yeah, so I think this team makes the playoffs. Even with John Morant missing as many games as he's going to miss, I still think this could be a 50-win team. And I think they're definitely a top four. I don't know. I don't know. I think they make the playoffs. Um, 5, 4, 3 seed. No, 5 or 4 seed. I think they're a 4 or 5 seed, but they make the playoffs.
Yeah, I absolutely hate every single player on this team aside from Steven Adams. So, thank God that you might have heard me say yes when Zach announced that he has a season-ending injury. It's not because I don't like Steven Adams; it's because I don't like that Steven Adams is on the Grizzlies. So this makes it a lot easier to hate the Grizzlies. Um, yeah, I mean, oh, dude, I just can't stand them. I hope they finish dead last, but I know they're too
Mm-hmm.
good to do that. So, you see my dilemma here. Um, yeah, God, it sucks, but it is what it is, I guess. They're going to be a good team. Like Zach said, missing the ringmaster of the circus is going to hurt them, but ultimately they'll be okay. They're a good team. Um, Marcus Smart was absolutely an upgrade from Dylan Brooks. They pushed a lot of the right buttons in the offseason, sadly, but yeah, I expect them. I expect them to probably go deep in the playoffs this year.
Yep. Good analysis. I agree too. I think they make the playoffs, and I think they also get past the first round. That shouldn't be a problem for them. But moving on to the Houston Rockets, a team that
What
I
are your
think is going
thoughts
to
on
fit.
John Morant, real quick?
A good player, terrible guy.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, he is, isn't he?
But yeah, we'll move on to the Houston Rockets here. Um, a team that made improvements, but in a wild west, I don't think that's going to mean much. They went out and got some veterans. They went out and drafted some good pieces. So I think they do they do better than last season.
Says a
I like
lot.
the team. Like I said, they got a new head coach. Um, but yeah, I think they missed the playoffs. Like I said, I think they'll improve, but I just don't think, like I said, in the West they have quite enough to actually compete. So yeah, I still think they missed the playoffs.
Yeah, that says a lot. That they're going to be better than last year.
I
Yeah,
think they get 30 wins.
yeah, they'll be better than last year, but they'll still be bad. That's my
Mhm.
assessment on them.
Yep, I agree. Moving on to the Spurs, obviously media is going to be all over them this season with the addition of a certain man by the name of Victor Wembanyama, um, who's going crazy, at least in the summer league and the preseason. He's been doing some very impressive stuff. And Greg Popovich, I mean, that's just the kind of guy you'd like this guy to go to. Obviously, if you're a Wembanyama fan or a Spurs fan, not if you're the rest of the NBA fan. This dude's going to be a problem for years to come. But speaking of right now, this may be one of the more overrated teams. I don't know. I haven't really heard much outside of Victor Wembanyama, but that's a name I'm going to get tired of saying. I'm pretty sure of it. I think they probably do even worse than the Rockets. They may be. Let me think. Let me go through the Rolodex. No, they're not the worst team in the West. I think they're either the second or third worst team in the West, next to the Trailblazers and the Rockets. But yeah, I don't think. I think Wembanyama's going to look good, but I think the Spurs aren't going to look too good. So yeah, I think Spurs missed the playoffs, but Wembanyama looks good.
Let me start off by saying I do not wish injury upon with Victor Wembanyama in the slightest. But every single time this dude jumps, it looks like he's gonna tear every single ligament in his leg. Um, I hope it doesn't happen because dude has potential to be a fantastic player and fun to watch for years to come. But at, at to an extent, I mean that's just kind of something that you have to realize is a possibility when a guy's that tall and that skinny or athletic, jumping all the time. Sadly, oh god, it is a possibility, but I hope it doesn't happen. But yeah, the Spurs are not going to be good even with Vic.
Yep, I agree. Moving on to our
Do you
first
agree
team in
about his
the.
knees? Looks
I
like
mean, yeah, I
Kamar
think.
Usman's.
I mean, I don't know. It's going to be super sketchy for him. I think they'll probably play it safe for them this first year. But it's going to be interesting to see him go up against some of the bigger bigs in this conference, not in this conference. Well, yeah, in this conference, but I mean, just in the NBA. I think for what it's worth, he still impresses me. Because I see most people at that height. They're definitely not as athletic as him, but I mean, this dude moves. This dude is as smooth as silk. He's a freak. So I can't, you know, I can't say he's not going to put on muscle during the NBA. Because I mean, let's look at Giannis when he first came into the league.
Oh, you're
Look
right.
at Brandon Ingram when he first came into the league. Kevin Durant, even Chet Holmgren. Just his second year in the league is putting on muscle. So I mean, I don't know. Dude's super young. He's not through growing. So I mean, I'm sure he'll be okay.
I hope.
Um, yeah, yeah, and me too. Like I said, like you said, the dude's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. Um, but yeah, we'll move on here to our first team with a lot of variance. Um, Dallas Mavericks. I don't know. I think they're another team that at the end of the day misses the playoffs. Which sucks to say with the team. They have Luca and they have Kyrie, but who do they have outside of that? And let's be honest, Kyrie is no savior of this team. I guess they added Grant Williams, but I mean,
Who?
um, yeah, exactly. And I really don't know about this team. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. 11 seed for the Mavericks. It's been determined. That's what I think.
Yeah, they're not going to be a good team. Kyrie's. I don't want to say he's over. No, I'm going to say he is overrated. Dude hasn't been the same since Cleveland. Whether that be his attitude or not, I don't know. But I mean, every team he goes on is he has problems. So, at what point do you look at yourself in the mirror and say, "Oh, maybe I'm the problem"? Apparently, for Kyrie, it takes years to do that. But yeah, I don't think this little thing with Luca and Kyrie works. I don't think it. I never thought it was. I mean, y'all can ask Zach. Uh, I said this when Kyrie first got traded. I said I don't know if that's going to work, and it's one of the only basketball takes that I've ever made that I was actually correct on, and I believe Zach was like, "No, I think it'll work," and ultimately it did not. I think that's the only time that I've ever said something that Zach didn't agree upon, and it was right in terms of basketball.
That is true. Usually, whenever your takes are, anytime you have a take, it's usually wrong. But, but, yeah, like I said, Kyrie, I guess he's just at this point cancer. I guess ever since the flat Earth thing came out, I don't know, he just hasn't been the same. Um,
Mm.
yeah, weird guy, good player, weird guy. I don't know. He's just more concerned.
Is he even that good of a
Um,
player anymore?
I think he is.
I mean,
I think he's an odd fit next to Luca, kind of. Because I'd like to. I like Luca as the true point to that team, and it's kind of weird to have Kyrie also on that
that
team if
was
you have another true point guard.
yeah, that was my whole issue with that team was the usage percentages, and I don't know, I don't know.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, even if the Luca Kyrie thing works out, that's I have to question their depth. And honestly, that's probably the biggest question mark to me. I think Luca and Kyrie are good players. I just don't. I hate their depth. It's trash.
Their
But I
death.
know depth. Their
Mm-mm.
depth. Um, their depth is death to them.
Oh.
I mean, it was last season. It will be again this season. They didn't do crap to address that this season. So here we are. Um, and the last team in this conference, I'm sorry, in this division in the Western Conference, the New Orleans Pelicans. I have them making the play in this year. Uh, yeah, this team never stays healthy. They have a lot of good pieces, and good depth too. But some injuries to their core depth pieces has them with some pretty big question marks already this season. And everyone knows Brandon Ingram nor Zion Williamson will play 50 games. So how can you trust this team to comfortably make the playoffs? You can't. Yeah, I have them as a play-in team.
Yeah, obviously as Pelicans fans, that's pretty tough to admit to ourselves. Going into last year, you were a bona fide playoff contender. Looked at as if you didn't make the playoffs, you were a failure, and we were failures last year as a team. Again, that it's really tough to admit that to ourselves, but at the end of the day, uh, they need to be better all around. CJ needs to play better. Uh, Willie needs to coach better. Zion needs to play more. Bi needs to play more. Jonas needs to find a role again. There's a lot of pieces that kind of need some work for them to get back to that bona fide playoff status. And I don't necessarily see it getting fixed in a year, especially with some key pieces already down.
Yeah, absolutely. Not to mention they have a new coaching system now too under Willie Green. Willie Green's finally got the coaches that he wants under his belt now. So yeah, I mean, essentially, you're going to be watching another growth year, I guess, for the Pelicans. I don't know. It's gonna be weird, but we'll move on to the Pacific Division.
It's
Um,
frustrating. God, I'm tired of hearing. I'm tired of seeing growth years though.
yeah, and I mean, I don't think it'll be a growth year. I mean, I think pretty much they're running it back, but like I said, super weird with the injuries and just the history of injuries with that team. So I don't know. We'll see about that team, but a team that speaking of has some changes. The Phoenix Suns, Pacific Division here, the Western Conference. Yeah, I think the Suns are obviously Western contenders. Um, shoot, I think they have the pieces to make it to the conference finals. I'm not sure if they can get it past there, but I think they should be able to get there. Offensively, the team's going to be almost unstoppable, but yeah, I don't know. Like, so you go out and get Bradley Beal. Obviously, you have Kevin Durant. Obviously, you get rid of DeAndre Ayton, but you get Bradley Beal. Yeah, yeah. Western Conference Finals for the Phoenix Suns. I think they're a good team. Frank Vogel is going to come in, maybe right the ship to get them to a championship or at least attempt to. But it's a good sign for if you're Phoenix Suns fans. Like the new management comes in and it's just like turning the whole ship upside down, showing they don't care about tax, which is what you like to see as a fan. I mean, you won't have to pay the tax; the owner does. So I mean, hey, let them. Like I say, obviously, the new ownership cares about having a winning team. So, and they actually got some decent depth pieces. Depth pieces. This isn't, one of
It's
those
whipping
crazy
their butt.
teams. Huh? I mean, I'm saying depth. I'm saying depth. I guess yeah, I got to like really articulate it for you to hear it. That's why I'm like
Maybe,
depth.
oh,
But
maybe so. It sounds like death.
but yeah. I mean, they got some good depth on them, but I just, I don't know. They don't have like the deepest bench in the Western Conference. That may hurt them in the regular season. I don't think it's going to hurt them too much in the playoffs. So yeah, Western Conference Finals for the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, now you got Bradley Beal as your third offensive scoring option. He's never been defended by anybody but the team's best defender. So I expect a big year from Bradley Beal. Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, obviously elite scorers. They'll do numbers. Yeah, like Zach said, the only thing I'm concerned about is the lack of depth. God, now you got me saying it. But again, in the playoffs, I don't think that really matters. I think they brute force their way through the playoffs. And I think they end up in the conference finals, if not the finals.
Yeah, all right. Well, moving on to another team in the division, the Golden State Warriors. They go out, get rid of Jordan Poole, get Chris Paul. Pretty solid positional upgrade there. I think the Warriors make the playoffs, obviously. Um, and I think they'll probably do damage. I think they'll easily make it to the second round. Um, yeah, I think they make it to the second round of the playoffs. It's going to be hard to. I don't know. I like to see Chris Paul work with this team. Obviously, he's going to be the biggest guy off the bench. Yeah, I don't know. Give me second round of the playoffs for the Warriors. Not much has changed for this team, so not much more to say.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing being that Chris Paul is willing to come off the bench, and I think that's a big thing for him. Obviously, no future Hall of Fame player wants to come off the bench, but the fact that he's willing to do so shows a lot about his character. Let me rephrase that. Shows a lot about how much he wants to win. Yeah. Mm, they'll definitely make the playoffs. I'm struggling to try to think how many. What? Third round? No, second round. Second round team. They can't win with the Chris Paul curse.
Yep, that's a good point. Forgot about that. We'll move on to the first Los Angeles team here. We'll say the Lakers. Um, yeah, they made some good moves in the offseason. Truth be told, I hate saying that. I don't really like the Lakers. Austin Reeves, very good addition. I say addition, but like, his coming out party last season was very it was welcomed with open arms by Lakers fans. They go out and get Gabe Vincent, Jackson Hayes, some Like so some key guys. They got Jared Vanderbilt. Like I said, they got obviously the Lakers and their whole however long they've been an organization, they've always been about going and getting the names, and they have them. And I think there's some good names. Um, I don't think in the Western Conference they're true championship contenders. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they are. I don't know. If you like a value, in terms of betting, if you like a value play, I think they're a good bet for your championship winner. I mean, who knows? Maybe they upset some teams. I don't think they do personally. I think they probably get booted in the second round. Um, but good team. Gotta like them if you're a Lakers fan. Gotta hate them if you're not. But yeah, I think they make it to the second round. I don't think they make it past that.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
All right.
Everything you said.
Nice. All right, move on to the lesser of the LA teams, the Clippers.
Greater of the two LA teams.
Yeah, this is a strange Clippers team because now that load management there's an anti-load management rule. All of a sudden we out of the woodworks come Kawhi and Paul George saying, "Oh, that's a load of bull." You never hear those two guys ever talk in the off season. Here they are saying load anti-load management should be abolished already. That kind of goes to show where their headspace is, or they may still be like having to deal with injuries. Yeah, this Kawhi Leonard Paul George saga isn't turning out how the Clippers had hoped it would, and I got to imagine it's going to continue more or less in the same way. Uh, straight they're a hard team to back. I mean, you got Russell Westbrook, who you let him play in his true position, and he did good as opposed to how he was in the Lakers. Um, I mean, 5 years of Kawhi Leonard already.
Damn,
5 years. Yeah, that's just crazy. Yeah, I mean, 6 seed. No, playing team for the Clippers. They're a playing team. I can't comfortably back this Clippers team. They deal with injuries as much as any other team, more than any other team. Um, so yeah, I have to. I don't know. I have to say the Clippers are a playing team.
yeah, playing team for me too. Like Zach mentioned, I mean their headspace is solely on load management not getting better. So
Yeah. All right. Move on to the last team in the division, the Kings. Interesting team. I think they're due for some regression though. They kind of got lucky because pretty much everyone was able to stay healthy last season. Gotta imagine. Like I said, I believe in regression. I'm a huge statistics guy, and like I said, I think they're due for it. I think they're still a playoff team. Um, I think Malik Monk is going to be probably your sixth man of the year. Uh, Yeah, I don't know. Kings being as high as they were last season, no, they got exposed in the playoffs. By the way, um, I'll give them play-in status. No, I'll give them playoff status. I'm gonna guess. Have I given anyone the sixth seed yet? I don't think I have. I'll give them the sixth seed.
yeah, I think I'm with you. I definitely see some regression. Sabonis is going to regress. I think De'Aaron Fox regresses a little bit. Um, yeah, I'll agree with you about the sixth seed. I don't think they regress to where they missed the playoffs completely. So
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll move into the last division here. We've made it this far, and we're gonna start with the Denver Nuggets, our reigning champions. Yeah, I mean, what they didn't change anything this offseason. So yeah, not much to be said about this team. I think they're still going to be super competitive. Um, I still think they're going to be competitive in the West. I think they'll still probably be the team to beat in the West. Like I said, they're the benchmark of what your team should look like. Couple of superstars and all around good depth. So yeah, give me the Denver Nuggets as a 1 or 2 seed once again
yeah, I
and deep
mean,
playoff run.
why fix what's broken? Yeah, you got yeah, as long as they stay healthy, they'll be right there. They'll be right back and competing for the title.
Yep. Moving on to the Minnesota Timberwolves, another interesting team here. Like I said, they didn't turn out how they hoped they would last season. Uh, but for what it's worth, I think they're a playing team. I think they're a playing team this year. I think that they finished like one win above 500, or maybe they finished at 500. But yeah, Anthony Edwards. I mean, we saw him over the summer. He was an absolute dog for USA basketball. You know, so yeah, I mean, I like the Timberwolves here. I like their team. I think they're a little sneaky team in the West. But yeah, give me play-in status for the Timberwolves.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Ant, not a big fan of Cat. I think in a way Cat holds him back. Although he's a great player, I think he, in a way, I guess mentality wise, he kind of holds him back. Whereas Ant kind of pushes him. I don't see those personalities getting along for much longer either. I think one of them might even get traded this year. So, give me playing status for them.
Yeah, Oklahoma City Thunder. Give me playing stats for them as well. Same team essentially, except they add Chet Holmgren, who missed all of last season. This would be his technical rookie year, even though he was drafted before last season. He just got injured before the season, so he couldn't play. And now here he is. So Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, obviously all NBA player, free throw merchant in my opinion. I'm not. I like his game. He's smart, but it's boring to watch. It's like watching a wrestler in the UFC. You gotta respect it, but man, you kind of hate watching them. But yeah. Anyways, playing team for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think the addition of Chet Holmgren will get them a winning record, and they're gonna catch some people by surprise.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't think they even make the playing game. I know Shea Gilgeous Alexander's a great player. I'm not a big fan of Shed. Um, I see some regression there this year, so give me missing the playoffs entirely.
All right, move on to the Utah Jazz. Pretty easy miss here for me. I think we've been talking about regression a lot. And one guy on this team in particular, Laurie Markkinen, I think he obviously had his coming out party last season, but I think he's due for some regression this season. They go out and add John Collins. Not that doesn't impress me. I have to imagine guys like Jordan Clarkson and Colin Sexton are probably on the trade block halfway through the season, and they probably do get booted to a contending team. Uh, Nothing really impresses me with this Utah Jazz team. I have them missing the playoffs.
Yep, I completely agree with you. Yeah, they're not great.
All right, fair enough. Well said. The last team here, the Portland Trailblazers. I think they'll probably be the worst team in the West. Got rid of Damian Lillard. They're out of that drama now. Uh, I guess unfortunate for you, but hey, you got Scoot Henderson. He's going to be a fun player to watch. You got DeAndre Ayton now. You had Drew Holiday for 2 seconds. That was fun. Anthony Simons, Shea, and Sharp. Some good players to build around. Yeah. And I mean, should be a fun team, I guess, for years out. Right now, not so
They have
much.
Brogdon.
Worst team, Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah,
Do they? I thought he was a pacer for some reason. Maybe he isn't anymore.
let me see. He was on the Celtics.
Oh wait, did he ever play for the Pacers? Why am I
Yeah,
thinking he's on the
we,
Pacers?
yeah, he played for the Pacers. Yeah, he played for the Blazers.
Oh, okay. Sorry for him.
Yeah,
Yeah. So worst team in the West, Trailblazers.
second worst team in the West for me. And I do believe actually Malcolm Brogdon. They've already announced that they're going to use him as a trade piece. So good
Mhm.
for Malcolm Brogdon. I think he's a good.
Yay!
I like Malcolm Brogdon. I think he's a good little piece for a contending team, 3-and-D
Hmm.
guy. Yeah, Trailblazers. Ain't much to say. They're young, but they're not going to be very good this year.
Yeah, fun team to watch. That's about it.
There's going to be a lot of athleticism on the court.
Oh yeah, yep. I said they're gonna be fun to watch. They're gonna be fun to watch. But yeah. If there's anything else you want to add,
No, I
speak
think
now,
that's
forever hold your peace. All right. Well, it was a long episode, but we covered a lot. Gave our NBA predictions, sorta. Like I said, if we prepared a little bit more, we definitely would have done better. But here we are.
consequences on.
Anyways, yeah. Anyways, thank you all for listening. As always, I'm Zach. And you're listening to my co-host Peyton as well tonight or today, however, whenever you choose to listen. We appreciate it as always, and we will catch you next time on the Easy Peasy Show. Thank you, guys. Peace.
Thank y'all.